Please listen to the podcast Sloth. Desktop section. Article by Sloth the Leader. Diary in a Japanese company. In the end, no matter how people divide themselves into this person and that person. Japanese, Vietnamese, they are all just human and only looking for one thing. Part 3. Another Japanese world in Vietnam. When Japanese people are in Japan, they are very Japanese. When they come to Vietnam, they start to become more Vietnamese, or things inside that have never been seen before will be revealed. For example, begging. In Tokyo, there is never a case of a colleague saying, "Give me a piece," and then casually grabbing food from someone else's box like that. But the Japanese who have been in Vietnam for a long time will do that. They often ask for braised pork and eggs, bitter melon soup, even chili, and they are very naughty. Japanese company in Vietnam. It is a worldwide corporation. Not small. Everyone is friendly and gentle. Only has a slightly strange hobby, playing cards. Play small, but passionately and lively. Usually, the movement will be popular near Tet until a few months after Tet. But sometimes it is also inspired. Does the boss know about this? Once, the boss went to the customer's house. The diligent employees started to lay out the cards. There were 2 or 3 groups at the same time. Suddenly, the boss came back after 15 minutes. Completely different from the previous times. The important people laughed out loud. I thought everyone would rush back to their desks. But the account guy said, "Let's finish this game." The boss walked over, looked and smiled, then went into the room. Oh my God, is this a Japanese company? There were also a few other Japanese people in the office. But the Vietnamese didn't care. Chop the pig. At the peak, the time playing in the accounting room, the CFO received a call on the landline. Spread out a few dozen cards in her hand. Instead of saying, "Hello," she said directly, "Old maid." Everyone burst out laughing. Japanese in Vietnam. Mr. K. Mr. K is a creative director. He has lived in Vietnam for many years. Mr. K even bought windbreakers from Da Lat to sell to people in Saigon. He likes to drink beer after work. Drinking alone. In Tea Sack area. The only thing is, after getting drunk, Mr. K does not return to his rented house, maybe because the owner closes early. He returns to the office to sleep. When sleeping, Mr. K is a bit simple. One day, when the creative department was quite crowded, Mr. K was still sleeping half naked in the room. Everyone was too embarrassed to stand outside waiting. When the CEO entered the room, gently tapped Mr. K's bare back full of red spots, "K floor." Mr. K was startled, sat up and said a string of Japanese. Then went to brush his teeth and wash his face. MN is a cute and funny young man. Once he confided, "My mother told me that after working in Vietnam, don't bring any Vietnamese girls back." Startled, he asked again, "Haha." N honestly said, "My mother is from the countryside. She has never left the village, so she only wants me to marry someone from the village or a Japanese person." The story sounds so familiar. Just like a mother from Hue or a mother from the north. N often wears thin pants. The bottom of the pants touches the ground. One day, the admin called the office. Told me to go back and advise the staff. N. To wear underwear to work. Huh, but never mind. Whoever wants to wear what they want. Until now, no one understands why N doesn't wear underwear to work. Maybe her mother told her to. Later, N married a Japanese girl in Saigon. Opened a very small design company. Played for a rock band. And when she had children, she returned to Japan. Mr. S. Mr. S is a typical case. When the contract with the parent company ended, instead of returning home, Mr. S chose to stay in Saigon to find a job. A Japanese person working directly for the Vietnam office lost a lot of benefits. But Mr. S didn't care. Mr. S married a rather assertive Vietnamese wife. One day, his wife came to the company, angrily throwing a glass of water in the face of another Japanese person in a noisy mess. The reason was because the night before, Mr. S came home with only simple shorts and a tank top. Mr. S was forced by his wife to quit his job and return to Japan. After a while, Mr. S sneaked back to Vietnam and has been living peacefully ever since. In many different things, we often think that Japanese people are strange. This is true. When they come to Vietnam, most of them do not want to return to Japan. But even living in this land that they consider beautiful, Japanese people still keep their Japanese thoughts in them, combined with the Vietnamese traits they have just learned, developing into a typical version of overflowing, muddy happiness. However, when looking at the ever-increasing number of Japanese people in Saigon, or the words of N's mother, S happily going home with only shorts, it can be seen that no matter what, no matter who, people always have certain instincts. A part of that instinct guides them to find happiness. Who doesn't want to live happily? Thinking back to the time in Japan, the trains that stopped suddenly, the young people behind the restaurant in Roppongi, a strange nation that has gone a long way to find glory but has forgotten happiness, hope, and joy every day, things that should have been established from the beginning when thinking about the future.